Welcome back, everyone, to another episode. I'm so excited you're here with us. It's Analena, and I'm here again with my wonderful friend and colleague, Alex. I'm so happy you're here with me.
Me
So,
too.
yeah, so today we're going to have another spiritual money talk, which we already did last week. And you and I, we have been doing this privately, right, for many days now. We started to really notice that consistency and a very focused energy is so transformative because we both have been experiencing such fundamental shifts in our relationship and our reality with money. And hence we decided to share this. So, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think both of our favorite subjects is our zone of genius and our purpose in the world and how it affects our ability to be taken care of by the universe, by the creator, because a big piece of money, and we're not talking people in the old paradigm making a lot of money with shady business schemes or illegal actions. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people like Annalena and me, and hopefully you, if you're watching it, who are very in line with wanting to do something good with our life here in the world and with exploring more what is our zone of genius, what is our purpose, how can we help raise the frequency, as some people might say, or elevate the world or help people or support people to live a better life. And when we can really truly tap into that more through understanding our zone of genius, we're adding more value into the world. And you might have heard this before in other money conversations or from other money people. The more value you add to the world, the more you're going to be taken care of financially. So money is a whole big conversation of, you know, and we're going to dive more into all of these aspects over the next episodes. I'm sure there's lots of more. That's why we wanted to start this as a series, because there's so many aspects to cover, including safety and allowing, but also how can we add true value to the world, and how are we meant to add this value to the world through our purpose and zone of genius? Because then we can really be in a space of giving.
Mm.
Um, in Kabbalah, which is one of the spiritual systems that I really follow deeply, and thanks to Annalena for introducing me to it about a year ago, but it is it is the difference of, am I coming from a place of giving, or am I coming from a place of taking? And so the more we can be in our zone of genius, which is also related to our creativity, the more we can be in a place of giving value, which will always reflect in you or in the universe, bringing support systems, including wealth, money, and everything that you need um, in order to thrive, not just survive.
Yeah, no, I love this because I mean, this is how we connected so many years ago. Or, well, let's put it this way, we connected through our passion for coaching. And then we started to realize if we keep following other people's path or blueprint, it doesn't work for us. And then human design came into our world, which really helped both of us a lot to get more in touch with what our unique purpose is, right? And for everyone listening right now, because you may be here like, yeah, but I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what my zone of genius is. One of the best tips I can give you is like start to experiment, try different things for yourself. And from our experience, if it resonates with you guys, most people in our audience are here because of human design, I think, because that's what Alex and I have been teaching for many years. And those tools help tremendously. And in particular, for us, the true sidereal version of human design and also astrology, for some reason, for us, this has been the most level of alignment that we have experienced, where there are certain elements in the chart that, when you feel like deep inside, it's like, yeah, okay, this is really me. Like, how does it know so much about myself? And there are some indications. It's not going to be something that you don't already know, but oftentimes it's hidden underneath a lot of conditioning. And belief systems we have taken on of what we should be in the world. And when you kind of can let go of all these like wrong ideas about who we are or who we should be, and again, human design can help a lot with that, the gene keys, astrology, like I said, for us, more the true sidereal version at this point. And I also see this with all of my clients. It's almost shockingly accurate or empowering how people step into what is really meant for them. And so, zone of genius for me means that you're doing what you came here for, the gift that God gave you. And it's not here for you to keep this, it's your responsibility to share this with the world, you know? And I know, especially many people that are more highly sensitive, empathic, more introverted, we can often hold back because there's this fear of what are my friends are going to think if I do this, or here I have family on social media, or fear of criticism, fear of rejection. So we keep holding back. But then we're making it about ourselves, right? And this is something I had to work through. I still work through this myself, the fear of rejection, for example. But once I really got this, that this is my responsibility. You know, God is waiting on me. It's often also be like, well, we're waiting for a sign. Like, no, God wants you to move and start to take action. And if you don't know right now what your zone of genius is or your purpose, you feel like totally disconnected from it, ask, ask, I really wonder, what is my zone of genius? What did I come here for? What is this unique gift that I can share with people? That is a million times more powerful than trying to figure it out in the mind. And this is also something that human design teaches, to use your brilliant mind, our consciousness, to ask powerful questions. And the more I do this, and this is something you and I have been practicing, right? We have been asking those questions. And it's insane of how much has shifted in our lives, in our businesses. Things are falling apart, they're changing, which is also scary for the nervous system because anytime we change, but a lot of really beautiful new opportunities have come up for me in the last several months that I could never have planned for. And because they're still in the workings, I'm not going to share all the details yet, but it all has to do with true sidereal in my case, that I can say. And it's really beautiful. I really feel like the universe is pulling me like, hey, Analena, I want you to be here. And if you like it or not, but I want you to be, and I can feel it in my body. It also comes very easy to me, right?
I love everything that you said, and I want to expand a little bit deeper on also what you said that we've been playing with, and the questions that we ask, because our brain is always asking questions, right? And if we don't know how to guide it correctly, or correctly for me means in line with my soul, in line with my spiritual purpose or my heart, whatever you want to call it. So making the brain or the mind a servant of something bigger that guides you, which I believe comes through the heart, the guidance, um, as opposed to making the brain the number one, who is this drunk driver that you're giving the wheel in your life, right? And
Mhm.
it's not that we're judging because we've done this plenty ourselves, right? But once we understand, and I want to just go deeper on what you said with the magical question there, right? Because we were just talking about this before we hopped on to record, of sharing our magic and our experiences of the brain always wants to ask questions, and we can ask, but how can I do this? Why is this not working? Why is my business still broken? Why am I still not at 20, 30K months yet? You know? And that is like literally, if you saw this as another traffic analogy, there's like in German we call it Schranke. What do you call that again in
It's like
English?
yeah, when the barrier comes down, I don't know if barrier is the right way, but yeah.
When you
Like
try to
stop.
exit the parking garage,
Hmm.
and there's like this barricade or whatever you want to call it, and
Yeah.
until you pay, it's not going to go up. Those questions energetically are closing down the flow of energy. And especially when it comes to money,
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you remain open. But
Mhm.
money doesn't just come from being open alone. Like you have to combine it. Like you have to find your certain own recipe. Like Annalena says, experimenting. It's like, what is my recipe where I add value into the world, but also when you ask the question and actually use your subconscious mind to find with the reticular activating system, looking for more evidence in the world for what you actually want to have guidance and answers on, right? Do you really want to know why you're still broken? Do you really want
So,
to know
th-
not at 20, 30K months yet? Or do you want to know how to get there?
so this is great because what I have learned also through quantum physics, but has a lot to do with manifestation, which is also part of human design, by the way, is that the universe always says yes. So when you say, why don't I make 10K a month yet? Why am I broke? Da 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 da. The universe says, yes, this is why. It keeps just showing and reaffirming. Also, when you're in the energy of, I want to make 10K a month, the universe says, yes, I'm going to keep you being in the energy. I want to make 10K a month. You keep wanting it.
I've
It
been there for
keeps,
so.
yeah. And this is why, and you guys like Alex and I have experienced this for years in the beginning. We were always looking for, okay, what can help me make more money? And we always stayed in the chase. It's not until I realized that it is who am I being, who I am, that is what the universe responds to. So when I feel whole, when I feel more detached from money, when I stop chasing, which is kind of it's the exact opposite. So it's a little bit hard for the brain to get around this. That's when you start become more magnetizing to money. And if in that same energy, I start to ask questions of what is my purpose? What am I here for? Show it to me. I'm open, I'm receptive. And you start taking inspired action. You got to take action. Without that's not going to happen, right? Because the universe wants to see that you're committed, you're in it. And even though you don't know, you trust the divine guidance that you received. And some things you may realize they're not for you. Sometimes we have to learn what doesn't work before we actually step into what we really like and what is aligned for us. And whenever I have operated from this space, really wanting to be of service, really bringing out the gift that was given to me, and not in the energy of chasing money, rather than feeling safe and trusting when it comes to money, knowing that I will always be taken care of, that's when money actually started to flow so much more in my case. And I keep seeing it happening over and over and over again. And it's very interesting because it's really the opposite of how I thought it would be. And the magical thing also that happens when we use questions, when we're curious about, okay, I wonder how I can make more money. I wonder how I can allow myself to have a more abundant relationship with money. I wonder how I can feel safe when it comes to money. What happens is that we are actually accessing the invisible in the quantum field, which is the 99.99999%. It's already in a reality that exists. There's a reality already where you have an abundant relationship with money and there's more money flowing. But you have to calibrate to this frequency. So you have to embody the version of you now energetically. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What actions are you taking when you are on this state? And that's what the universe will say yes to. That's how you attract it, but not from being in a state of lack and always wanting more and asking why it's not there. Then we keep blocking it. And it does take a lot of trust because it is hard in the beginning to be in an energy of okay, I feel wealthy, I feel abundant, I feel taken care of. And the truth is, we have been doing a lot of nervous system work over all these years because this is not something that happens just like that. It requires a lot of honesty and it requires moving through a lot of uncomfortable feelings and emotions, at least in my case. And also when I work with my clients, like that's when the magic happens, when we can really go through the uncomfortable stuff that we have been trying to avoid so hard for probably decades.
Totally. And the Instagram ads don't help, right? It's like I scroll on Instagram, it's like, do you want to finally know how to make 10K or 50K a month as a coach? Then download my workbook or download my strategy. Like Annalena and I, between us, we probably have 200 strategies that we could use, and that we have played with, and bringing temporary success or temporary results. But then over time, they all come, if they come from this energy of it's not enough, or I don't know why I'm still broken, or how can I finally, right? As opposed to elevating yourself with your consciousness and energy to that higher level from which you ask these questions, these open questions that literally open your receiving channels. Because they like to always say, everything you need, you have inside. And it's the ability to ask the questions that can open up that energy and open up that guidance. Like I just asked a question this morning where I'm like, okay, I'm wondering when the answer will come through. And then I went onto my emails and I did my emails and I did some paperwork before we hopped on the call. And boom, as I wasn't thinking, the answer dropped in. It was so easy. It worked immediately. I took action right away and was right there, the solution. I was like, boom.
Hmm.
That's how you keep your channels open. And those are the same channels that then money will come through as well, right? So,
Hmm.
but for me, it's because I'm so suggestible and so open, it's very important that on all of these Instagram ads I click, I don't want to see these type of ads because they're not relevant,
Yeah.
right? And
So, yeah, this is a really good point because when our nervous system is in a fight or flight with money, right, where we feel a codependency with money, where we have one a hard time receiving money, or we overspend easily, and we're trying to think, or we think that we will be fine once we have X amount of money, but once the money is there, we cannot hold on to it, right? And you may have a lot of people that have the money you think you want to have, but do they have a safe relationship with money? I think many do not, right? And what you were just saying is so important, especially for those of you that are entrepreneurs and you want to build a business, that there are all these strategies out there that have worked for some people. But just because they have worked for one person does not mean in any way or form it's going to work for you. Because it depends on your frequency, on how you feel about money. If you're in a state of lack, where you're in the energy of like, I just want to make more money, and you feel like you're not good enough, whatever your unconscious beliefs are, you can sign up and pay for all these strategies out there, and they're not going to work because that's not where you energetically are, right? Or they make work a little bit, but you have to push and grind. You're not in your zone of genius. It feels hard. You get burned out because eventually the universe is like, yeah, that's not your path. And rather than trying to throw ourselves in all these so-called proven strategies and over investing into this oftentimes, if you can make it a priority to work on your nervous system when it comes to money and really work through all the triggers. It does take some time. It's a matter of changing your habits, right? Because when I started to train for a marathon and I haven't been running in years or months, I'm not going to start running 10K the first day. I may, and then I'm going to have chin splints and I'm going to quit, right? Or I'm going to go very slowly. I have a running coach that holds me accountable. And I know, especially in the beginning, it's the hardest for us because it feels so uncomfortable for our nervous system because we're doing something we haven't been doing before. But eventually, as we move through these triggers, we start to change our frequency. We let go of these old limiting stories and we really start to uplevel our frequency because I know it's a big word to say, yeah, just uplevel your frequency. Like, okay, but how? You know, I think we can guide you into this through the experience we have been having because yeah, that's what we do this on a daily basis and we have been seeing so many shifts with that ourselves.
yeah. And I also want to come back to this, what you said. and it's actually, even though I'm not a Bible person, but I know it's in the Bible too, but
Mm.
also the basis of the foundation of manifestation work is be, do, have, right? So all let's go back to these people or the coaches who, I mean, I've bought many, many things of Instagram and Facebook ads, and I've loved learning all of these things because my one line is always thirsty for things. But a big reason, let me just stipulate here, why these strategies work for these coaches is because the being behind it too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not just telling in the strategy, the 5 P's framework, or finally you'll know how to talk to people in your DMs or whatever it is, if you are not resonating behind it from the being frequency, then whatever you do, it's like astrology, right? Whatever gets birthed gets the energetic imprint of the stars in that exact moment. So everything that gets birthed, and even a baby, gets imprinted by the mother's biome at birth. And baby's nervous system gets imprinted by the mother's state of nervous system during pregnancy. So everything that gets created, and this is the doing piece of the be do have,
Mm.
has gets imprinted with the frequency it gets created from. So if the being is off, if the being is in scarcity, in doubt, in fear, then the doing will reflect that. And
Yeah.
so you can do everything, which I was so surprised. How could I do over 200 sales calls so according to script and perfectly and still only sign up 4 people, and that was out of luck.
And also what I find, if we focus on the being first, the doing may be in a very different realm. It may not be the doing the sales calls in this way or doing the DMs like somebody else does it. What I think we have been experiencing, and the last few months has been insane for me, that I focus more on my being and I'm asking these powerful questions of like, I don't know what my zone of genius is. I feel like I'm already a lot in this, but maybe it's way bigger that I cannot even comprehend, And I've started to attract these new opportunities that I couldn't have made it up for myself. I couldn't have figured it out with my mind ever. And so the how of the what actions to take, the universe will show you those breadcrumbs when you focus on the being. And when we skip the being, then we actually do some doing, but most likely in the wrong direction, not in our zone of genius. And
And it
that's
keeps that old cycle in.
yeah, and that's why people burn out. And yeah, people do have financial success, but they feel really unfulfilled within themselves. And I rather feel really happy and content and know that I'm the creator of my life and my bank account is zero, but I know I have the power to create anything with the creator, with God, source, universe, however you like to call this. Rather than I have $1 million in my bank account and I'm so scared to lose it because my whole identity is projected on this money. And I
Mm.
feel deeply unfulfilled because the way that I made the money, that's not really who I am. That's my truth. And I'm serious.
Yeah.
I'm not just saying that. Because I have been in my life in situations where I had more money or I had savings. I had other places where I had a lot of debt, and there was a very scarcity money situation in my life. And the more complete and whole I feel from within myself, I'm just very detached what the actual bank account balance looks like. But there's this deep sense of trust. And let me tell you, the money situation also keeps gently and more improving, again, in ways that I could never have planned it. So it's really what I was saying earlier. You're tapping into the 99.999% of the invisible in the quantum field that we don't know about yet. If you're trying to just do from what we already know, what you other people are telling you is the proven way to do it, we're using 0.00001% of what's actually possible. That's crazy to me. Like once I got this, I'm like,
It is,
what are we doing? Let's be curious and ask. It's probably the universe is just waiting for you to ask. So you can step into your zone of genius more.
I hope that for whoever listens and watches this, that you can feel the difference in your nervous system while you're listening to us. And maybe there could be some triggers, and maybe there's some, if you're feeling it in your heart, like an opening or an anxiety or like something that you may have given the meaning of fear to. Like this is, if you're feeling it here, this is your soul shouting like, yes, I want to do it this way too. And I hope that you are feeling the groundedness of our nervous systems, which is what happens when people come together in a circle, which with Analena, you and me listening and being here on this call, we create a circle, and then you can feel that groundedness in your body, that it's not necessary to chase, right? And it's more like if you're feeling it here and maybe you're feeling anxiety, that's like your heart pushing for, you want to do it in a grounded way as well, because you've probably experienced all of this stuff. And the other thing that I wanted to add to this is, because we're talking about unique purpose and stuff and working with true sidereal and our charts and everything, human design, astrology, the people, going back to our friends in the coaching industry who are launching their ads in this way and selling more strategies, there's nothing wrong with strategy, but you also don't know if they're, I mean, they have most likely either with chart work or intuition or whatever work they've been doing, maybe just by trial and error, found their purpose and aligned their business model with their purpose. So, since Annalena and I have been doing that with ourselves, aligning our business models and the way we do business and the way we do things, we're talking about doing, with how we're meant to be being, there's also a lot of guidance available in the chart around this, right? And most likely the people that you see the Instagram ads for, they might have a completely different setup in their charts. And sometimes that's why we chase for scarcity, because we haven't found what feels right within us yet, or we haven't allowed ourselves. A lot of the time, like Annalena said, it's hidden under a lot of layers of conditioning, but it's still there. But you're still feeling like you have to chase something external, because it's sometimes easier than delayering all these layers of conditioning. But that's where you get to the true gold and the consistency in money flow and wealth accumulation and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so now, as an example for everyone, to kind of give you a real scenario of what it looks like when you let go of what you think you should do and you focus more on the being and focus on asking questions to spend more time in your zone of genius and be shown what is your purpose, how can you be more of service to the world with the unique gifts you were given. So Alex and I, we like we said, we are talking almost on a daily basis right now about, our relationship with abundance and being more in our zone of genius and really running our businesses in a way that feels aligned to our soul, right? And all we know is this coaching space and running programs in a certain way, and we have been doing it by ourselves for many years. And in this particular case, so we both have our own businesses, right? And I was planning to run a program recently and I put it already out there and then something fell off and I didn't cancel it. I was just like, I just have to get some clarity. But something, I felt overwhelmed also with all the new opportunities that were coming very recently over the last few weeks. And I was like, hold on, like I feel almost this is maybe too much for me on my plate to run the program right now, but I felt very excited about it. And the program is called Wealth Frequency, which is a lot about what we talked about, the nervous system work and really the inner work we have been doing for all these years, integrating human design and gene keys with that as well. And I told you about it. Hey, I put it on hold. And you were also, I think, planning to launch a mastermind. I think the same day that I was going to launch the program. And you also like, yeah, something feels off. And then as you let it go, You had a whole new download about how you want to run your business completely differently, more with collaboration and everything, and restructuring everything. And you got amazing response with that. And then you were like, you know what, Annalena, I also was going to run like a money related program. And I just looked at my notes and it was also called the wealth frequency, the same name. Like, and we didn't seriously didn't know about it. And I was, are you for real? And you were like, don't you think we should run it together? I mean, it kind of feels like the right thing to do because let's look at our curriculum and maybe we can put it together. Maybe we can even make it more powerful than it already is. And I kind of told you what I have been planning. And so, anyways, we're here now today to let you guys know that this literally happened over the last few days. And 3 days ago, again, we couldn't have planned it, but we let it go. Something fell off. We asked the questions. How can we be of service? That was my intention. I was like, I think I can actually make this available to even more people and even more powerful. And now we decided to do it together because there's a lot of admin work that goes into launching a program. It's not just showing up for the cause. There's also a lot of energy and preparation that goes into it, scheduling emails, keeping everything organized, how to hold the group accountable. And so we now decided to run it together. It's going to be even a little bit longer because to change a habit, they typically say it's either 66 days or up to 3 months. So we're going to do it now, I think, for 12 weeks, right?
Yes.
So,
And this is also what comes out of when because Annalena and I have been diligently practicing staying open and getting the guidance and listening to our guidance, right? And
mm,
we have run programs together in the past, and people were really loving it. We have a good team synergy together, and what matters most to us is that we don't just convey information, but that we take everyone who participates in this program through a deep recalibration of the being piece around money, right? Because from when you shift that, like Annalena said, the doing piece will become easier because what you drop actually is the struggling piece around money. Because that's where, like you said, burnout comes from, is when we take action from a dysregulated nervous system around money, we create more scarcity, we create more fear, we keep that struggle cycle in place. And so we were asking, if we really want to help someone not just learn the information around it, but actually move through the shift and see real different outcomes and results in their money financial reality, what would be needed? And we said, okay, 12 weeks is a really good amount of time to, still stay in a really focused space together without losing focus and attention, but also to give enough space to actually move through and physically change.
mm, yeah. So, and it's really, for me, it was almost crazy because I had surrendered. And I had sent an email to my audience. So some of you listening right now, you read that email that I sent out Thursday morning when you listened to this last week, where I said that I got the new opportunity, came into my lab. I feel super aligned. Now I already put the program out to my audience, but then I was like, hold on, something isn't feeling right. And I said, I'm not letting you know that I'm not going to do the program, but I have to get some clarity first. And I had no expectations. I mean, I'm realizing this in hindsight now. And then I was like, well, do I just feel like now too lazy, not do the program or whatever? I was like, no, I'm curious. Like let's see. And I really allowed myself to be in the not knowing. And then you came and it felt right to you. And then same program name. I was like, are you for real? And then, yeah, so here we are. So this is your invitation. We start now May 14, right? And we're gonna put all the details in the show notes. Maybe you can tell a little bit about I mean, what people can expect.
Yeah. Well, this is proof of the pudding that when you allow yourself to open up those channels and really stay in the practice of it. That's what people talk about with quantum leaps or time is not a thing, right? Because it's really just your openness. And what we are doing in this course, in this program, in this journey together over 12 weeks is we are blasting your receiving channels wide open for good. So
Yeah.
that's basically what you can expect. There's going to be a lot of practical stuff. It's going to be very hands-on. Annalena and I are both very grounded. There's also going to be a lot of spiritual relationship with your money, to understand money more as a spiritual resource and a guidance system, how you can best use it with your consciousness and understanding, but also a lot of nervous system recalibration and changing your money patterns. And this is subconscious, this is unconscious stuff that we're going to help you bring to the surface and transform, alchemize in real time, so that after every call, you will be physically able to feel a shift. And from that, you already change your being. So every time we get together on a weekly basis, you will already be able to take very different action, or realize that, oh my gosh, I don't even need to do that anymore, what I didn't even like to do in order to quote unquote make more money, right? So every week you will align more and open up more of your receiving channels, feel safer around receiving and allowing yourself to become wealthy.
Yeah, I love it. So you're
What
really
do
gonna,
you add?
yeah, I want to say that you're really gonna shift. Imagine you are a super unfit person. You get out of breath really quickly. Thinking about running is not even anything close to what you can imagine for yourself. And you're gonna shift into a fit person that loves to physically move your body and you're actually craving it. It feels like your new self. So imagine that with how you feel around money, right? And you can actually right now have a lot of money in your bank account, but you may feel exhausted when it comes to money, right? You may feel like it's a fight or flight situations where you have the money, but you cannot really enjoy it. And you're also afraid to lose it. Or you're in a situation where you have little and you don't trust that there's more coming, right? Because you're not trusting in being the creator and how much power you have when you tap into your zone of genius, right? But you are in a relaxed energy. And I was saying this on the call, the first spiritual money talk, that I really feel rich when it comes to money. And I mean it. There has something has just shifted from the work I have been doing over all these years and from really allowing myself to tap into this more easy and ease, which doesn't mean you cannot get uncomfortable. I still have to get out of my comfort zone, but I'm not in this energy of forcing things and trying to make things happen because I feel like I have to, right? This push energy. But I still have to take action and get out of my comfort zone. But it's really in alignment with what we call zone of genius, which this term originally comes from Gay Hendricks. I talk a lot about him, obviously. And it's just something magical that happens when you are doing the thing that you came here for. Because it's almost like the way that I imagine it's like the universe is like dancing and yeah, finally. Because then, of course, the more you are in your zone of genius, life, money cannot wait but support you even more because this genius is here to help others. That's what we're here for, to help other people. Not, again, like I said earlier, to keep it to ourselves. So that's why I feel so excited about the program because that's what I wish I would have had access to when I first started because I made so many also big purchasing decisions in my business for years from such a dysregulated nervous system. And then I got into this vicious cycle of what's wrong with me? Why am I not doing the right thing? What do other people have figured out that I don't have figured out, right? And I often tell my clients, like, I'm actually here to help you save a lot of money because once you have a more regulated nervous system, you're also going to be much more open to receiving money, but you're also going to avoid making unnecessary purchases or let's call it mistakes because you were making these from a like fight or flight response. So I feel like it's going to be in a way a shortcut for you to really shift into the direction of your purpose, your zone of genius, and bring in a really like a lot of healthy money energy into that because it goes together. Like you're not gonna be living really in your zone of genius and money's gonna be tight because when you're there, you really open up the receiving vessel for that. Because all life cares about is for you to spend more time in your zone of genius. Like that's what you were created for, to carry this out.
Literally.
Yeah.
I just want to share a fun visual that came through, and I hope it'll be helpful for you to visualize a little bit more the energy behind this is like Analena said in the beginning of the call, the universe always says yes and gives you more of who you are and how you're being, what you're thinking, believing, feeling. And so if you see money as an extension, I like to say sometimes money is one of the love languages from the creator. So if you are in your zone of genius, then the creator is like, oh, this is so wonderful. You know, they're there. Let's open the floodgates. And the energy behind it where money is going to keep doing what it has been doing is the whole carrot on the stick thing, right? So if you're a little donkey and so, like the universe is always going to put
Oh,
that
I
carrot
love it. Yeah,
in
yeah,
front
yeah.
of you. You're running after it, running after it's always going to stay there, right? So
Yeah.
if you're not going to decide as the donkey, I'm not going to run after that anymore. And so the visual for being in your zone of genius and being in a place where you're actually not running after the carrot and running after the money with a dysregulated chasing kind of energy nervous system, but the energy of the Buddha sitting in its seat, calm, happy, with a big belly, smile on your face, and allowing things to come to you because you're in a place of regulation and stillness and calmness. So that is, and then you're actually able to open up and to receive. And that's, it doesn't mean that the Buddha isn't doing anything, but it's not chasing after a carrot and
Mm.
keeping the cycle in place. So yeah, that's the visual that just came through.
Yeah, I love this so much. So yeah, this is your invitation to join us on this journey. We don't have any early bird pricing. You can sign up today, you can sign up in a week or the day off. That is totally fine. I mean, it starts May 14, because that's also something we have learned from our experiences with other programs when there is like this, fast action bonus kind of situation. Oftentimes people make immature decisions. Like, trust yourself, you will know if it's there. I mean, we also invite you or ask you, like, if you feel the pull, go jump into it and do it. Because once you say yes, I already feel like even before the program starts, you're going to start to set things into motion because what you focus on, it does expand. If you really focus on this energy of, I want to really have a very beautiful relationship with money, feel safe in my nervous system when it comes to money and finances, so I can feel deserving to receive from wherever the money wants to come to me. That's also a thing. I'm starting to see this myself in my life. Money is starting to come from many different places right now in my life. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing. And I always thought this only happens for other people, but I'm starting to realize it because my mind is like, yeah, I can only make money like by doing my sessions with my clients and in my business. And when I actually put my work like hours into something. But there are a million different ways of how money may want to come to you that most likely you don't even think about, right? So it's really like tapping into magic and tapping into the quantum field of possibilities that already exists.
Yeah.
We're helping you become the frequency of that, what your heart desires, because you have desires in your heart. I'm not talking right now about the I want it energy where you feel like you are lacking something, but where it's just like, I'm really good with where I'm at, and I'm grateful for what I have and have always been taken care of. And I'm here today, I'm listening to this, I have the opportunity to do this, and I have this desire to create this in my life. You know, maybe you have a desire to impact millions of people and you don't know why. But it's there and it feels good. It feels grounded. It doesn't come from, I want to be famous or something like that energy, right? It's really from like, it's there and it doesn't leave me, you know? And if that's there, it's there for a reason. And if you feel this around joining the program, yeah, trust it. We would be really happy to have you. And we're going to drop some details below here in the show notes so you can read all the details about the program. There's going to be also some amazing bonuses. And we're just very excited and honored to take you on this beautiful journey with us because we're excited to take the program ourselves. Like we are ready to take it always to the next level. So,
Yes. And in the spirit of every action you take
mm,
is infused with the energy you take it from, like Analena said, the sooner you sign up, the sooner you reap the energy or the results or yeah, the energy from signing up from this kind of being state and
mm,
from this kind of desire, not being rooted in lack of fear. And that's a big reason why we're not doing early bird or any of this stuff, because we really want to also ourselves stay in a grounded nervous system around the launch and not go like, oh, now we're in early bird and whatever. And we also want to keep you there so that you can really make this decision from a grounded nervous system. And also knowing that you do shift as soon as you invest. So the sooner you sign up, the more bonus time you get for being in this program, even if the active calls haven't started yet,
yeah.
just on a physical level.
Yeah. No, and this is what I always teach with human design. So if you feel in your body it's a yes, and then your mind starts to try to talk you out of it, that's a yes. But if it feels like a no, and you're trying to convince yourself that you need the program, then I would say it's a no, right? And you will know. So that's a first good exercise for you to learn to make an aligned decision for yourself because we only want you to be there if it really feels like a body, a grounded body, yes, right? So yeah, with that, I think we talked a bunch. Time is always flying. So thank you for being here for our little money chat, and thank you, Alex. It's always such a joy. And we're gonna be doing a few more, right? It's kind of fun.
Yeah, we'll keep them going. I like them. And then one day we'll know if it's done or not. And then hopefully everyone has already shifted tons with us.
Yeah, I think just from listening to this, you're gonna shift it a little bit and wishing you all a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. And we'll be back on the next episode. Ciao, everyone.